What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for May 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. Don't look now, but we are only 3 short weeks from the unofficial start of summer. Yes, Memorial Day is creeping up, which means barbecues, pool time, and I cannot wait. But first, we need to get through the next 3 weeks. As always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, once your team gets eliminated, do you want that team to go on a run or get beat in the very next round in humiliating fashion? Surprisingly, 66% of you said go on a deep run, and I guess it's more for that moral victory of like, hey, we lost to the Knicks and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals or NBA Finals or whatever. Not me, man. Like I don't want the moral victory. At that point, we've lost. I don't care. Just lose, get it over with, preferably in embarrassing fashion. So with that in mind, I cannot wait for the Pacers to win the next 4 games and completely humiliate the Knicks. You've heard it here first. As always, though, thank you for participating in the question of the day. There will be a question later in the show. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. A couple quick housekeeping notes. I've been mentioning it, but I am going on vacation early tomorrow morning. So the Saturday and Sunday, you really won't notice much of a difference. It'll be a normal weekend. However, moving forward to the next week, it'll be on a weekend schedule, so it will be posted later. I'm not going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning on my vacation, but I will get it done. I plan on still getting up, keeping up with my workouts, and trying to remain on somewhat of a routine so I'm not waking up at 8 o'clock in the morning drinking Bloody Marys. Which I still might be drinking Bloody Mary at 8 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording, but we shall see. Hit me up on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, Instagram at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Tell your friends. It's a great time to get in. We have that nickname tournament coming up this summer. Very much looking forward to that. And again, if you were a part of the podcast last year and you listened to our Lovable Loser tournament, we've done stuff with who wore it best as far as numbers. The nickname one is going to be fun. It's going to be a full 64 teams. I just don't know. We're still in the process of seeding. The selection committee is going, but will be a good time. So stay tuned for that. And again, the best way to get involved is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, let's start with the Eagles today, and lots going on in Eagles land. And I guess before we even get to the coordinator speaking, Deshaun Jackson and LeSean McCoy released a podcast where they went in on the truth about Chip Kelly. And first of all, I don't know if they already had a podcast or this is the first episode of their podcast or this is a one-off thing. But I do like their chemistry, and I will say that. So if they can somehow continue that podcast, it should be a good listen. But some of my takeaways, I listened to the full, it was like 52 minutes or so, jotted down some notes. Some of my takeaways, the funniest moment for me was Deshaun Jackson talking about the leadership of that team when he first came in and the culture that Andy Reid had. And he talked about Brian Dawkins when Deshaun fumbled the ball before he crossed the goal line. And he's like, B-Dog, curse me out, man. Without cursing, he doesn't curse. And I just kind of thought the way he said it was funny, and I can totally picture B-Dog cursing somebody out without cursing. But I guess the biggest takeaway, he was hyped for Chip Kelly to come in because he was a Pac-10 guy, obviously. He followed the teams out there. It's just that he was not ready for the pros. He came in and did things. And a lot of it was not necessarily new information, but came in and said there are no starters. Another funny moment, they said Asante Samuel was not on that team, and they were like, oh, he would have had big issues with Asante Samuel. But I think the big takeaway from sort of that opening segment was that Chip was very good and very intelligent football-wise as far as play calling and things like that. Just was not very, as Jeffrey Lurie likes to say, emotionally intelligent. And I'm anxious to see now what Chip, based off of the interview and just hearing them talk about the plays, because Deshaun Jackson even said, he was like, I had a career year the first year with him. I'm anxious to see what he does in Washington. Some of the things, though, they said he never addressed the players personally. Like he would have interns and runners. Not necessarily all the players, but like the established star players, like the no names or the younger guys he would talk to. Just seemed like he was scared of the star black players. Made Michael Vick cry, which is absolutely insane. And this was something that I thought was a missed opportunity, I think, in general. But when the whole Riley Cooper thing happened, I forget what country concert, but when he used the N-word and was suspended and this, that. But they said they wanted to talk to him about it because Lesean said, he was like, I didn't view Riley as a racist guy. I wanted to talk to him, kind of pick his brain, see where he was thinking. And it seemed like he was trying to really see what was going on, but Chip sort of sent him away and swept it under the rug even when he came back. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity there. That was one of my takeaways, that, man, like he just tried to, I don't know. I mean, I guess that would work in college. It's almost like that's the kind of stuff you do in college when you're trying to avoid NCAA sanctions or something. And then, of course, they talked a lot about when they were released and traded. Shady said, and I think what was missed in all this, and I think this is why, because a lot of people were like, oh, why are they doing this now? Why are they doing this now? But it was refreshing, I think, to hear their sides of it, because it went well beyond football for both of them. Shady said he was in a good spot, like he was close to his son, like he worked out 50% custody with his baby mama. He was close to his parents, like he would go to the church and things like this. So he had to figure that all out. He lost some endorsement deals. I forget the company that he lost the endorsement deals, but it just wasn't marketable in Buffalo. Obviously, he lost jersey sales, so they lost money that way. And then Desean, obviously the money, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, boo-hoo, you lost $6 million. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have a finite career, so you're trying to gather as much money. So when you're losing millions of dollars because of a douchebag like Chip Kelly, I mean, you're going to be pissed off. But it went beyond that because of all of the manufactured stories that were spun because of a picture of Desean using his money to pay for a lawyer to get his buddy off of, and by the way, was found not guilty of a murder case, and was spun with the whole, you're gangsters, you support murders, and things like that. Not only did it cost him money, but he said it hurt his relationship with his mom. So, like, you're going way beyond football. You're going way beyond money on this. And it was one of those things, like, you don't hear those stories. And to their credit, I mean, they kept it as, I'm trying to think of the word. Like, it was not like, I don't think it was a smear campaign. It wasn't like they came out there and bashed him. But I think some of these stories needed to be said and needed to be heard, because these are things that did not come out when all of this was going on. So I mean, I think the worst part of it, and I think it was the funniest part, and it was the one of the realest reactions you'll see, was when Desean said, I will smack the shit out of you if I see you. And I don't blame him. I mean, I honestly don't blame him. They called Jason Peters at the end, and he was like, he effed us out of 2 Super Bowls. I highly recommend listening to it, because, again, it was not needed, but I think it gives more clarity. I don't think anybody in Philadelphia is like Chip Kelly got a raw deal or anything like that. But even talking about like how he treated Howie Roseman and just how insecure he was, that Howie. We heard the story from Jason Kelsey about how he was in the closet, this, that, and the other, but like he would not allow him to even go to practice, and they actually enjoyed it. It kind of, to me, painted Howie like in a new light, because they said they enjoyed talking football and players and things like that with Howie. So again, it was not needed. They both said it was very therapeutic to do, and I'll be honest, I think it was very therapeutic from my perspective. Like I feel like I got some closure on that. Sure, it's frustrating because of the way it happened, and like Desean said, I would have easily been the greatest receiver statistics wise in Eagles history if he didn't trade me. Even when they came back, like he was like, I had injuries, and I mean, you can honestly say that it messed up his career. but you never know. But one thing, again, I want to get back to, like I said, I do highly recommend it. But I talked about this one time on an episode of when I was doing Back to the Future, and they kind of thought a different way, and Jason Peters said that. So I want to get your thoughts, and that is today's question of the day. I thought that because the way everything played out and the way it was set in motion, it set the stage for them to win the Super Bowl in 2017. They tend to think that with that talent and if they had the right coach, they could have won a Super Bowl with that group. So, all things considered, and I guess we'll kind of keep Jeremy Maclin out of it because he was more of a free agent. But the two big moves that Chip Kelly did were releasing DeSean Jackson and trading LeSean McCoy. Had he not made those moves, would the Eagles still have won the Super Bowl? 267-495-8531 get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know what you think. My outlook changed a little bit after hearing that and kind of going back and having a chance to hear it from their perspective and really seeing what talent they had. Could they have won the Super Bowl if Chip Kelly did not trade LeSean McCoy and get rid of DeSean Jackson? 267-495-8531. Get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know what you think. It's a very good question. Without Chip's move, do they win the Super Bowl? There for a while, I thought they won the Super Bowl because of Chip's move and being able to regroup. But I don't know. Maybe they might have won one. They were stacked. So let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. We're not done with the Eagles, believe it or not. The coordinator spoke and didn't really get a ton out of what they said you wouldn't expect to in May. But Kellen Moore loves Jalen. They're starting to cultivate that relationship. Says he wants to maximize his running ability and explore ways to really use him. And that makes sense. You have a ton of weapons on this team. Get creative. And that does mean he was specifically asked about it, and he said yes. Lots more motion, screens, and things like that before the snaps, and allowing those guys to get out in space and use their quickness. Loves the culture of the Eagles that Jeffrey and Howie have built. And then he talked a lot about cleaning up the language and almost I got the sense of simplifying things for the offense. And that ties in good with what Vic Fangio said too, because he's talked a lot about going back to basics. And when things started spiraling, it seemed like they were pressing even more. And Vic Fangio was like, no, you need to go back to basics. I'm not going to draw up an exotic blitz or exotic package to get us out of a struggle. We're going to go back to our core basic defense. And he talked a lot of, he's very old school, obviously, but he talked about loading up and setting a strong foundation early, like giving them a lot early, kind of seeing where the strengths are, and seeing what fits, which I like. Like here, and everybody says, "Oh, he has this system, he has this," but even though he's an old school guy, he kind of sees what he has and builds around that. That way, you have that foundation. So when stuff starts to hit the fan and you start struggling, you're able to kind of fall back on those bases and go back to. I like that. He would love to have more practice and work these guys hard. He wasn't a big fan of load management, as he says. But I think I like that. Like, he's setting high expectations. And that was some of the issue that people had with him in Miami, believe it or not, was that he was too tough. And I like that. I think after the way this team collapsed, especially on defense, you need to have those high expectations. I said there's going to be an open linebacker competition. And that he hopes that this is his last stop of his career. It comes full circle. He started with the Eagles back in 1984. But overall, good interviews. I did not get a chance to listen to special teams, but I plan on doing that today. But again, let me know what you think about the Chip Kelly, DeSean Jackson, LeSean McCoy thing. If he didn't get rid of those guys, would they have won the Super Bowl? All right. Phillies back in action tonight in Miami. It is Ranger Suarez Day. I'm looking forward to it because I love me some Ranger. Go Ranger Suarez. They did move the June 23rd game to 11:35, and it looks like it's going to be on Roku. I get it, but man, this is starting to get ridiculous. That like you need like, and you don't have it anymore. But it's almost like all of these different streaming services and moving games here or there. It's like you need to go back to the old school. Remember the old school TV guide, and just see what channels are on. It's getting ridiculous. But I did see an article on Crossing Broad, and I'll let you read it yourself because it was very heavy into the numbers. But my takeaway was that the numbers of the Phillies start, like how good they've started, it bodes well for them. There's a lot of math, but essentially around 50% of the teams that get off to as good a start as the Phillies have make the World Series. Obviously, there is still a lot of time left to go, but things are looking good. But tonight in Miami for a weekend series with the Marlins, it is Ranger Suarez Day. Go Ranger Suarez. It's only a matter of time before Philly Goat gets that shirt out. And speaking of Philly Goat, get your London series. The Mets are coming into town very soon, and then both teams are going across the ocean to go play in London. They have you covered at Philly Goat. The Founding Fathers shirt is phenomenal. I'd scuff Mrs. Met, also phenomenal. The British Blue 13 Colony lead, phenomenal. So go check out phillygoat.com. Get your London series gear. Order now so you have it in time for the game if you're going. If not, get it in time so you can wear it while you're watching the games. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. Go Ranger Suarez. All right, today we're going to go back to 2012. And on this day in 2012, it was Game 6 of the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, and our 76ers beat the Bulls 79-78 to advance to the second round and play the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference semis. Andre Iguodala led all scorers with 20 points. He also added 7 assists. Luol Deng had 19 points and 17 rebounds for the Bulls. Coatesville's own Rip Hamilton had 19 and 8 for the Bulls. Almost forgot he played for the Bulls there near the end of his career. Now, this 2011-2012 season was a lockout-shortened 66-game season. The Sixers had a 35-31 record, which was good enough for the 8th seed in the playoffs. The Bulls went 50-16 and had the number 1 seed. And before you get all hyped up and say, oh, yeah, no, it wasn't like the 8th seed upset the 1 seed per se. The Bulls won Game 1, but unfortunately they lost reigning MVP and star Derrick Rose to an ACL tear, which set the tone for the Sixers to pull off the 8-1 upset. To their credit, though, they won Game 2 in Chicago, then Game 3 and 4 at home, before losing in Chicago Game 5 and then closing it out in Game 6. They would lose to the Celtics in 7 games, but there also are a couple other Philly connections in this game. We talked about Rip Hamilton, but the other connection was playing 26 seconds in this game, and as a rookie is future Sixer, or would-be future Sixer, Jimmy Butler was a rookie on that 2011-2012 Bulls team. Is he going to be a future Sixer again? We shall see. No disrespect, Jimmy, but I hope not. But on this day, back in 2012, the Sixers beat the Bulls 79-78 to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, upsetting the number 1 seed Chicago Bulls 4-2. Finally today, it's a family affair, and this one is a doozy. So buckle up. It is Bob Boone, catcher for the Phillies. Bob spent 10 years with the Phillies, 1972 to 1981. He was only a .259 career hitter, but he was phenomenal on defense. He was a 4-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glover. Obviously, he was a World Series champion with the Phillies in 1980. We talked about that play not too long ago where he had the tough foul, or maybe it was tough, I don't know. But he dropped the pop foul fly, and Pete Rose caught it in the World Series. It really clinched that, helped save that game for them. He's in the Phillies Wall of Fame, and when he retired, he had caught a Major League record 2,225 games, which has now since been beat by Pudge Rodriguez, who's had over 2,400 games caught. Now, this is where the family affair and the family lineage and family tree gets really, really wild for Bob. He's a descendant of Daniel Boone. Yes, frontiersman Daniel Boone. His dad, Roy, was an all-star major leaguer. His sons, Brett and Aaron, were also major league all-stars. So there's 3 generations of all-stars there. And Aaron Boone now manages the Yankees. Brett, his other son, or his one son, let me rephrase that. Brett's son is in the Nationals minor league system right now. And if that was not good enough, wait, there's more. His mom, Patsy, was a star synchronized swimmer who was a movie star. And I forget the lady's name now, but was just incredibly known for that. His sister, Terry, was also a champion swimmer. His brother, Rod, was a college baseball star, played in the AAA level for the Royals and the Astros. And then to top it all off, Bob has a .455 winning percentage as a manager. So the family tree and the family lineage of the Boone family runs deep. Bob Boone, I did not know, and usually I would say many people don't know, and I'm sure none of you knew this because I did not, and maybe some of the older folks my dad's age might have known this, but I did not know that Bob Boone was a descendant of Daniel Boone. So pretty cool stuff there. But Bob Boone is today's Family Affair Spotlight. Gold Glove, All-Star, and Phillies Wall of Famer, World Series champion, descendant of Daniel Boone. It comes from a long line of great athletes. Okay, on this day in 2012, Sixers beat the Bulls 79-78 to move on to the Eastern Conference semis, upsetting the number 1 seed Chicago Bulls, who were without reigning MVP Derrick Rose. Phillies in action tonight in Miami. Come on, Ranger. Let's keep it going. Whew. Let me know what your thoughts are, though. Anything you want to say, Eagles, Phillies, 267-495-8531. What do you think about what Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio had to say? But answer the question of the day. I think we're going to get people all over the mill on this one. Would the Eagles have won the Super Bowl if Chip Kelly didn't get rid of Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy? 267-495-8531 get you on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Just a reminder, tomorrow will be my last day in the studio for a couple weeks, so buckle up. It's going to be a crazy, crazy week, but I will get the podcast out to you every day. It's going to be kind of a chilly, rainy day. Got to try to figure out and pack the truck up in between raindrops, but we'll get it done. Go have yourselves a Friday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.